What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Day One Radio right here on Live Hip Hop Daily. I'm Maurice Garland, your gracious host. You know what I'm saying? The homie Brandon Peters will not be joining us this evening. You know what I'm saying? We'll be seeing him later on. Keep your prayers up for him. But tonight, we have a very special guest, man. You know, like now more than ever, you know, financial empowerment, responsibility, knowledge, all of those things are very important amongst other things when it comes to, you know, Black survival in America right now. But, you know, we have a very special guest that's going to walk us through some things and teach us some things, man. And we hope that you, of course, go buy his books because, you know, you're going to get some free knowledge today, but you get the real knowledge when you go support the brother. You know what I'm saying? We got none other than Mr. Ash Exantis in the building. What's going on with you, man?
Hey, Maurice, what's up, brother? Everything's good, man. I appreciate you for having me. You know, salute to Brandon, man. Hope all is well with him as well.
For sure. So before we move on, man, I need to know how should I be referring to you? Do you want to be called Ash Exantis, or should we just be calling you Mr. Cash?
Yo, what May said, call me anything but broke, man. Nah, for sure. Ash Cash is good, man. It's all good. It doesn't matter. Nah, it's all good. Yeah, I go by Ash Cash. You know, and the funny thing about it is that I went from, you know, my real name is Ash Exantis. But you know, when I was a banker, you know, I couldn't go by Ash Cash, and then I wrote a book, and I had to be both people. Now I got the liberty to, you know, to be one person. So it really doesn't matter, you know.
I mean, for real though, both of them do have like a. I don't know if you used to watch wrestling, but they both have like a Ted DiBiase type ring to them.
Yeah. Nah, for sure. In fact, my last name Exantis, like everybody always thought it was like a Greek last name. But Exantis actually means God's gift. So I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? I'm cool either or. Like Ash Cash, Ash Exantis, either or. You know, both names have power, you know?
For sure. So, man, let's get into a little bit of your background, man, as we tell your story. Well, I mean, we'll start off right at the top. Like, how did you even get into wanting to be into financial, you know, education? Because a lot of people are into money and money making, but financial education is a whole nother ball game. You know what I'm saying? So tell us how you even chose to get into that, man.
Yeah, I mean, you know, first and foremost, I'm just a kid from Harlem, man. I'm from 129th Street, 8th Avenue. Grew up, you know, Harlem, USA, home of the hustlers. And so I've been packing bags since I was 8 years old, selling mixtapes and T-shirts when I was 12. Got my first job at 17 working at a video store. Oddly enough, I have got promoted pretty fast at the video store. Fast out the, you know, rest in peace, Blockbuster Videos.
Oh man, I used to work at one of those too.
You know what I'm saying? So I worked at Blockbusters, and then one of the assistant managers was like, "Yo, they hiring at Chase Bank," you know. And so at 19 years old, I got my first job in the bank working as a teller. And then the rest is sort of history. I started doing everything from teller to personal banker, private banker, branch manager. I was one of the youngest CEOs of a federally chartered bank. But one of the positions in the bank that changed my life was working as a wealth advisor. As a private banker, I worked with clients that had $250,000 or more. My most wealthiest client was worth $22 million. And I realized that wealthy people had a team of people. You know what I'm saying? I was helping them with their money. But then when I thought about like the dudes that I grew up with, they didn't really have anybody. And so in the words of the Honorable Sean Carter, Jay-Z, he said, "There's much bigger issues in the world I know, but I first had to take care of the world I know." You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so that's how I got into financial education. I was like, yo, why am I part of a team of multimillionaires who I'm helping build their wealth, where I got people who look just like me, who come from where I come from, who just don't have this knowledge. If they had this knowledge, they could like literally change the trajectory of their family's lives. And so in 2009, I wrote my first book, Mind Right, Money Right, 10 Laws of Financial Freedom. And the rest is just history. I call myself the wealth coach for the culture because, you know, I'm a hip hop head. I've been listening to hip hop since I was 8 years old, but I'm also, you know, I know money very, very well.
Right.
You mix the two together and you know, and that's why I do what I do.
So like, you know, for people that are out there where, you know, working at the bank is really not even on their radar for whatever reason, you know, so like, how does one actually move up that fast in the bank game? Because, you know, it's not like, you know, if you're flipping burgers, like, oh man, you flip burgers the fastest, so we're going to make you the king of that. You know what I'm saying? So how did that journey work out for you where you say, you know, it sounds like you got promoted like in a very expeditious fashion?
For sure. Yeah, I think one of the things that I was learned or I learned or I was taught early on was that don't work for the job that you have or the position you have. Always work for the position that you want. And so and I even do it now as an entrepreneur, right? In every position that I'm in, I'm probably there physically, but mentally I'm not there. Mm-hmm. Mentally, I'm already gone. I'm already at the other level. So when I was a teller, I was already a customer service rep. And so I didn't care. I got that already. So I didn't care what the tellers did. I was watching what customer service reps did. And I was doing and I was practicing and I was becoming that, so that when a position opened up, I was ready to take it on. You know what I'm saying? When I was a personal banker, I was already looking at what the branch manager did, and I moved accordingly. And so if you always understand the next level, and you are working for the position that you want, you'll always get to that next level. And so as an entrepreneur, if I make if I make 50,000 1 year, I'm already thinking about what is it going to take for me to make 100,000. If I make 100,000 1 year, I'm already thinking like, I'm gonna make $1 million this year. If I make $1 million, it's always, so I'm always thinking ahead, because the one thing I do believe, and I know, is that the reason why people don't achieve their goals is because they don't see them. Right? Mm-hmm. They want to experience it first for it to be real. For me, it's real in my head first. Like, I see it first, right? And I'm living it first. And I think in anything that you do, whether it's moving up the corporate ladder or being a successful entrepreneur, you got to see it, you got to be it, you got to understand it first. And that's what I what I did in corporate America that got me able to get promoted very quickly.
Now, in the beginnings of that journey, like, were you also going to college? And if so, like, was that a decision where it was like, hey, I'm already learning the game directly, let me also try to learn some game from this side too?
Yeah, no, I mean, oddly enough, I was already making money, so I never really needed a degree. I actually got a degree later on. And so I just got my bachelor's degree in 2015. Because I wanted to become a certified financial planner, and one of the criteria is to have a bachelor's degree. But my whole trip, in everything I was doing, I had an associate's degree in finance and banking. So I had a 2-year degree, and that's just because straight after school I went to Borough Manhattan Community College, fresh out the BMCC. But then after that, I really, it wasn't no need for me to get a degree, because I was already making the money. In fact, I was in my 20s making about 60, 70 grand when, I know people double that age who weren't really seeing that type of money yet. Right. And so, I didn't really have a need for the degree. Again, when towards 2015, I had already left the banking world. And I said, this financial education thing is picking up. I want to be able to be more credible to higher net worth clients. And so I went to, to apply for my CFP, and I needed my degree. And that's why I got the degree.
So since you mentioned it, man, making $50,000, $60,000, like, that's good in any age, I guess, in many times, but to be walking around with that in your 20s, like, right, like talk to us about that. Cause I mean, like you said, you're already in the game, like you're dealing with money, but like, I mean, I can only imagine like when you're dealing with your own at the same time at that age, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it was a disaster, honestly. You know what I'm saying? Because you gotta think I'm from the P's though. Right. So regardless of where I worked and what I was doing for other people, I still came home every day, up until I was 24, I think. So 25 is when, my wife and I, she was my girlfriend at the time, we bought our first home, you know what I'm saying, together. Right. But up until that part though, like, so from 19, think about it, from 19 to 25, I was a banker making money, but I still live with my mom. So, it was a disaster, bro. I had all the Pelés. I was fresh to death. You know what I'm saying? I had the, the Dodge Intrepid was tinted out with the rent. You know what I'm saying? So it was a disaster. I wasn't really managing my money the right way, because again, I only did what I saw. Right. I knew better though. Right. I knew better. I was actually helping other people manage their money better. But at the same time, there was still this allure for the streets to look good, to do all that stuff. So it was a disaster, until, you know, they always say behind a strong man is there got to be a strong woman, and you know, really, you know, I had the bad credit, right? I was the banker, but I had the bad credit. She had the 700. You know what I'm saying? So she helped straighten me out, and then I think later on, just understanding that life is more than just what you can you know, materially have, right? And so when you start thinking about, you know, not living paycheck to paycheck and wanting to live abundantly, and you know, thinking about the next generation and breaking the cycle of poverty, that thought process have you thinking a little differently about how you make, spend, circulate money.
Right. And you know, and piggybacking off of that, man, like what was it like, you know, being in the culture of corporate America at that age as well? Because obviously it sounds like you didn't change yourself. You're like, bro, I'm still rocking the Pellies.
Right,
you know,
right.
So it was like, what was it like, you know, being in that culture of corporate America, being who you are and where you're from?
Yeah, nah, it was a double consciousness, I'll be honest, you know what I'm saying? Because I couldn't be who I was in corporate. Because you got to think about it, the majority of people who had the money and the majority of people I was managing money for didn't look like me. They didn't talk like me. They didn't sound like me. And so there had to be this double consciousness where, you know, during 9 to 5, I had the nice suits on. I had the, you know, the European look, and the, you know, I sat up straight. And then, you know, from 5 to 9, you know, I had to hurry up and switch that up, you know what I'm saying? And throw on the Timbs and the white tee, you know?
Right.
And so it was a double consciousness for a long time. And honestly, it took a while for me to just, you know, it took me a while to get comfortable with just being who I am. And so now it doesn't matter, you know, your age, your race, your color. I'm me every day. But that also takes, that's also knowledge of self though too. You know what I'm saying? Like when you start saying to yourself, like love me and leave me alone. Like, why do I have to, if this is my vernacular, why would I have to switch it up to make you feel comfortable? If you don't feel comfortable because of who I am naturally, then we're not for each other. You know what I'm saying? And so, but that comes with knowledge of self. That comes with saying that, you know, my presence is a present. And so if you don't appreciate my knowledge, if you're going to judge my knowledge based on, you know, how I talk and how I move or whatever, then all right, good. You know what I'm saying? Like we, you know, you're not my people anyway, you know? And so, it took a while to get there, but it's actually way more liberating to be able to just be yourself opposed to having to, you know, switch back and forth all the time.
Right. Because I was going to get into the next part of your journey. You know, eventually you decided to go into business for yourself, and I'm not sure if a lot of our listeners or a lot of people in the world even know this. It's like I read a long time ago, a successful entrepreneur, they usually win on the 10th try. Right. First one, you know what I'm saying? So tell me about, you know, when you started your entrepreneurial journey, you know, fresh out of, you know, corporate America, and how that went for you.
Not another disaster, right? Part of it was because, you know, corporate America trains you to not, you don't eat what you kill in corporate America, right? In corporate America is just simple. Whether I give 100% or 60%, I'm going to, every 2 weeks, I'm going to get the same amount of money. It does not matter. So I know for certain there's like a level of security in a way where I know for certain what you know, what money I'm going to get. And so when I left corporate America, you know, I was making 6 figures, you know, life was great. And I had just released my first book, and I was on Hot 97. I was in Black Enterprise. Like I was getting all this publicity. And I made the mistake of thinking that fame equals money. I thought that if you famous and everybody knows your name, then you know, the bag comes with that. I didn't know that that's not true, you know? And so I made some money though. I did make some money, but I walked into the office. I quit cold turkey. I was like, yo, I'm good. I made some money, but what happened was I didn't make enough to sustain my lifestyle, right? I was already living a 6-figure lifestyle, but because I quit my job, I wasn't really making that same money anymore. And so I fell flat on my face. My house almost went through foreclosure. My car almost got repoed. The embarrassment of, you know, just me being around my neighbors and them knowing I'm this banker that's on television and doing all this stuff. But now I got a for sale sign on my lawn, and they're like, yo, this not adding up. You know, I'm feeling like an imposter, because even though I'm coming home and I don't know how I'm gonna pay my bills, but I'm still on radio talking my talk as if everything is all good. You know what I'm saying? So it was tough. And so I had to go back into corporate America. You know, I had to go back. I had to swallow my pride and figure out, like, yo, what did you do wrong? And for me, what I did wrong was that I kept working for money, right? The key to wealth is not to work for money, but money should work for you. And I didn't know that, you know, and so I was relying so much on my physical labor that, you know, there's only one me. And so if I'm only relying on my physical labor, then the ability to make a lot of money is not going to be there. And so I had to figure out, yo, how do I make my money work for me? And so when I went back to work, my wife and I decided to get a piece of property, and we got a tenant, right? So now the tenant is paying, you know, and, right, you know, paying their rent, and that kind of helped me as I quit the second time. And then now I got that little cushion. I don't have to worry about the basic necessities. And then I was able to, you know, take off and go from there.
So being that you brought that up, because it sounds like at that point you was at that crossroads of, like, you know, doing the saving and the investing, which, you know, equaled into, you know, you being able to flourish with where you were at. So I wanted to know, like, being that you're the financial coach now, you know what I'm saying, you got everything together now, you know what I'm saying, like, for people that are, like, starting to, you know, really manage their money and take it seriously, what do you suggest? Like, should people be focusing on saving or investing first, or is there a formula to try to do both at the same time? Like,
yeah, so it's the latter for sure, because you know, abundant thinking and everything, and I believe and is better than or, and so I say do both. I say that you should definitely be saving and investing at the same time. You know, one of the things that we'll realize about investing is that investing is a long-term game. You know what I'm saying? So you want to so when you're investing, you're not investing for now, you're investing for the long term. And so there's going to be highs and lows. That's why I never suggest anybody to put a lump sum of money while they're investing. I want them to do what's called dollar cost averaging, which means that you're putting a certain amount each month, each week, but the same amount, right? You're just figuring out from a budget perspective. Yo, I could afford $100 a month. So every month I'm putting $100 into my investment account. Every month I'm putting $100 in there. And what happens is dollar cost averaging. When stocks are high, then you get less shares. When stocks are low, you get more. They're on sale, you get more, and it averages out and mitigates your risk. So I would say do that. But then also, as people are saving, I want you to create a goal, right, of creating a financial freedom fund, of having at least 6 to 8 months of expenses, right? And so if you have, you know, if your expenses are $2,000, then the goal should be, you know, at least 12, you know, to $18,000, you know, or $16,000 in an account, so that if any of your income streams start to fall off, you don't have to scramble and figure out, right? Like, we think about this pandemic, you know, those who had one source of income and no savings were done. They had to figure it out, right? And so that's why you want to get to the space where you're saving, you know, at least 10%, you know, and working up to that 6 to 8 months, but then you're also investing for the long term.
Now, I would be remiss if I didn't also bring up this equation. Like, you brought up how, you know, you feel that, you know, saving and investing should be congruent. What about paying off debt and saving? Because that's a balancing act that a lot more people may be having to have right now. You know what I'm saying? So, like, where do you suggest that with, you know, the debt, getting rid of debt and then trying to save?
Yeah, I think debt comes last all the time. You know, I'm not like Dave Ramsey. No disrespect to Dave Ramsey, but he's like one of the guys that, like, push this debt-free lifestyle. You know, I'm not that person, you know, because at the end of the day, what happens with, you know, with debt, right? You pay off your debt. It's as if you're working for debt, right? Because if you pay off that debt, you don't have that money is not yours. Right, that money you're paying interest. You're not. It's not saving. If you pay it off, you might have access to the debt again, and you get right back into debt, and now you're working for that debt. So I never say to put your debt first. Right, savings. If you're saving money, 6 to 8 months of expenses, that's your money. That money ain't going nowhere unless you spend it. Right, you put money in investment, that's for you. That money is gonna grow and grow and grow, and you're gonna make some money. At the end of the day, you pay off debt. What you left with? You're not left with nothing. All you're doing is you're not circulating your money, right? That money's not circulating one way. In fact, I would say I would spend your money on creating a side hustle first, and then let the side hustle pay off your debt, right? Like why are we making the credit card companies more important? I know it's emotional, right? It's an emotional thing. Oh my God, I owe people and all that stuff. And I'm not saying don't take care of your obligations, but if I'm going to choose, if I'm going to advise people to choose, I'm saying choose you first.
Right.
I'm saying pay yourself first, which means save. I'm saying create the habit of investing. And then once you create that habit, create a plan to pay off debt, but don't pay off debt. Don't let your debt trump you saving, and don't let that trump you, create an investment for yourself.
So you've shared, like pretty much like the, I guess ideology or practice is the word for that. But like for people that are going to be hearing this, that are like, bro, I still not getting it, dog. Like, so it's like, they may need to be pointed to particular, maybe like, tools or, just ways of thinking, period. It's like, what tools can you point people to, especially Black folks, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to like just budgeting, whether it's they're trying to budget their first $100 or they trying to budget their first 100,000.
Yeah. So, I mean, as an author, I wrote a book called The Wake Up Call, Financial Lessons Learned from 444. And so when Jay-Z came out with the 444 album, I thought that everybody was focusing so much on him cheating on Beyonce, which was like 20% of the album, but 80% of the album, he was telling you financial freedom's your only hope. He telling you, yo, stop going to the strip club, man, get your credit together. Yo, create generational wealth. And so as a financial educator, I decided to break the book down and give you tips on how to establish yourself financially. And so I would say that's the first tool. If you pick up the Wake Up Call, Financial Lessons Learned from 444, that would definitely give you a blueprint on how to budget, how to create a budget, how to go about it first and foremost. But there's some apps out there. You got Acorns, you got Mint. You got different apps out there that you could download that could potentially help you with your budget. Some of your bank, depending on who you bank with, they might have, some apps. I also have a program as well called the Legacy Builders program that also comes with a budgeting app. So mindrightlegacy.com. So there's tools out there, you know what I'm saying? So I have some tools, but you can also use the tools that are already, that are already in your possession.
And and I'm glad you mentioned, just how, especially with the apps, because they're so accessible, and I'm not sure that so many people know, because like I don't consider myself a financial maven at all, but I do have those apps, and I'm pretty damn proud of my financial behavior since I started using those things. It's like, shit, if I could be on StockX and Instagram, I could definitely be on some damn Acorn.
That's a big fact.
Robinhood and all that kind of stuff, man.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So, tell us a little bit more about some of the books that you wrote, man, and the inspirations behind them, because you brought up the book that was inspired by the 444 album. You also have a book that's inspired by the Nipsey Hussle. Like, tell us about some of these books, man.
Yeah. So, similar to what I told you earlier about the assimilation, how, I had the double consciousness, right? So my first book is called Mind Right, Money Right, 10 Laws of Financial Freedom. I'm a big Hov fan, so I quote Hov all the time. And so, in fact, people don't realize Mind Right, Money Right is a Memphis Bleek and Hov song. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so the first book that inspired me was Think and Grow Rich. When I said, we need to think and grow rich for us, for the culture. And that's what Mind Right, Money Right is. It's a think and grow rich for the culture. But even in that book, I wasn't blatant about my love for hip hop. I kind of snuck it in there because I was trying to be slick with it, because people were telling me that it wasn't a good idea to mix hip hop and finance, and I listened, right? But then, as I started to get comfortable with myself, I said, yo, I'm a money guy. I'm a hip hop head. Let's marry the two. And as the saying goes, put the medicine in the candy. I know that my people need financial education. So let me not talk to them in a place where I'm trying to get them, but let me talk to them in a language that we already understand. And so my first attempt was the Wake Up Call, Jay-Z's book, or Jay-Z's album. And the reception of that was so well that I said, now, I'm going to start doing that more often. And I was excited about doing that. And so I decided to, when Kanye came out with, 400 years of slavery and all that stuff, there was a lot of stuff he was saying that I thought was not wrong. He was just saying it wrong. You know what I'm saying? And so I wrote a book called Making Sense of Kanye, a spiritual guide to financial freedom, love, hope, and happiness. And what that book talked about was finance and mental health. Since Kanye has already said that he had, been diagnosed with some mental health issues, and so I, put that together, and the reception was okay. But then, when Victory Lap came out, I was like, man, that with the game that Nip was dropping on Victory Lap, I said, yo, that's it. And oddly enough, I had a friend of mine who worked at Atlantic who was on the Nipsey Hussle project. And so when the book came out, I had hit my homie up like, yo, bro, like, I need you to connect me because I want to write this book. Unfortunately, I got busy and I never followed up, and that never really happened. And so after Nip passed, I was like, nah, like, this dude was too important for the culture. Like, he was teaching you about ownership. He was teaching you about, how, like things that we weren't learning in business school. He was teaching the hood, these terms, vertical integration. Like, how do you know what vertical integration is? And so I decided to write Hustlenomics, which is, dedicated to, or it's inspired by Nipsey Hussle's raps. But then, and I really kind of broke down. It's really like a business lesson, but in his honor, I decided that I would give that book away for free. And so it is available for free right now. If you go to hustlenomics.com, you could download it for free. There are,
and that's hustles with 2 S's, right?
Yeah, hustle with 2 X's. Sure. Yep. So hustlenomics.com. There are paperback versions available on Amazon, but if you want to just read the book, you could definitely just go to hustlenomics.com and download it for free.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and it's funny, like, I'm curious, like, who were these people that were telling you that was a bad idea? Because, I mean, as much as I love hip hop, I think it's safe to say that half the time they rapping about money any damn way.
Yeah, I think I was just too early. That's all. You know what I'm saying? I think I was just too early. In fact, the funny, I won't name their names, but there's like a television station that I had pitched an idea to, and they were like, hell no, like that. They was like, black people, like, literally, they was like, black people don't want to learn about money. And I was like, word. And so, you know what I'm saying? And so I just kept at it. And I won't name their names because eventually I wind up doing work with them. You know what I'm saying? Right. But I just think I was too early. I just think that at the time, hip hop was so braggadocious. I think hip hop was so wasn't really talking about responsibility. I think that later on, folks in hip hop grew up, right? The same people who were kids now, own homes. Now they have 401ks. Now they're trying to put their kids through college. And they're like, yo, the financial advisors ain't talking to me. I need somebody who look like me, who could talk like me. And so I think that's where the shift happens. And that's why it's, it's easier now to have that conversation. But when I was on it, we were still talking about popping bottles. You know what I'm saying? Like, we wasn't really, focused on wealth,
So it's like, without literally giving the book away, could you maybe point out one or two specific things you're talking about in the books where it's like you're finding a way to make this information not so intimidating, but using it in the language that you're using?
Yeah, no, for sure. Like even when I think about the wake up call, when when Jay talks about the strip club, right? And he talks about, the strip club and credit, like, I'm literally breaking down for you, what he means by, not spending your money in the strip club, how that's a liability, right? And why your credit can help you, it's an asset and it can help you increase your wealth. When he talks about, saying when he was like, yo, I spent so much money on the V12 engine, right? Like, I could have saved that money and bought a place in Dumbo, right? Or, you know what I'm saying, in Brooklyn. And so, I break down, that when he's like, yo, don't die over the neighborhood that your mama renting. You know what I'm saying? So I talk about, how much you lose money when you renting money or you're renting your houses opposed to being an owner. When he talks about the spiritual stuff, even, really works. You know what I'm saying? Like, I told my wife the spiritual stuff really works. Alhamdulillah. Like that, the spiritual stuff really works. I have a whole section on how the law of attraction works and spirituality. When he's talking about, generational wealth, like, yo, daddy, what's a will? And so I break down, having a will. I break down how Prince died. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Where he talks about Prince Prince died without a will. And so now all of his stuff, you know, went to court. And then now family members are coming out of woodworks. You know what I'm saying? So these real life examples that people could relate to. And then now I break down what a will, you know, what a will, a last will and testament is, you know, what a trust is, what an estate is. And then, you know, do it in a way that people can understand it.
You know what I'm saying? So kind of hinting at something that you brought up earlier, as far as, you know, like, you know, instead of working for money, making your money work for you. Like, I hate to use the word easy in this instance, but I'm going to use it just for the lack of a better one. Hopefully it'll come in my head. But to the average 9-to-5 cat that's, you know, maybe coming into some money or got money that they don't know what to do with, what would you say is that, you know, maybe some of the more instantly accessible ways for them to start making their money work for them? Oh man, he freeze up on me. Oh no. Herb, you there? Did I freeze up?
He froze.
Oh, he froze.
You know, the powers that be was like, he giving out too much smoke, man.
I'll repeat the question. Yeah, Herb, we got us back recorded. So for the average 9-to-5 cat that's out there, you know, starting to save their money, or for the person that maybe be making a lot of money and not know what to do with it, what are some of the more, I guess, like, you know, instantly attainable, I hate to say the word easy, but that's kind of what I'm getting at, but like, what are the ways that they can immediately start making their money work for them?
Yeah, I alluded to it earlier, where, you know, what saved my life after I almost lost my home was getting into real estate, you know? And I think that's the lowest hanging fruit, honestly, because, you know, some of the other ways are going to require you to have some level of knowledge, right? And so the other ways, if you're going to, you know, create intellectual property like a book, or, you know, invest, or any, you know, sort of business, all that stuff requires a certain level of information that you're going to have to learn trial and error. With real estate, I don't care what the economy is looking like. People always need a place to live.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I would say to somebody that, you know, if you don't own your home currently, instead of buying a house to live in, you know, buy a multifamily house, live in one room or one unit, and then rent out the other unit. And immediately, when the people who live in the other unit are literally paying your mortgage, and there's money left over, and you're making your money work for you, where you don't physically have to work in order to make that money. And if you keep flipping that, you keep doing that and buying and holding, not flipping real estate, because that's a whole different hustle. Yeah. I'm saying you buy a piece of property, you hold it, you rent it out. You know, that's a way that you could create some passive income. So that's the easiest way that I would say. And then again, there's other ways. You know, I've written 8 books. 4 of them have been bestsellers. You know, I make at least 4 figures a month from books passively. And so, you know, I could pay mortgage and a car note on a luxury car with the money that I make off of books. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's just off the strength of what I've written throughout the years. And so I would tell, you know, the second way, or the second easy way, would be writing a book, right? Because we all have knowledge, we all have information that people want to learn, and we could just take that information, you know, write it in a book, do it one time, and then allow it to sell over and over, right? I still get paid off of a book I wrote in 2009, and it's 11 years later, you know? So
right.
I would say that's the second easiest way.
You know what I'm saying? So I want to talk a little bit more about, you know, your show, because like we've been talking for a minute, but you also talk like this for an hour. You know what I'm saying? 5 days a week.
Yes, sir.
Early in the morning. You know what I'm saying?
Sir.
So tell us about the Ash Cash Show, man.
Yeah, so the Ash Cash Show is the most dangerous financial empowerment show on the planet. Like, there's no other show like it. You know, when the pandemic happened, so I used to be on radio in New York for about 4 years on WACR 90.3 FM once a week. And then when the pandemic came, I just, you know, I live in Atlanta now, so I moved to Atlanta. And when the pandemic came, you know, I realized that it was time to amplify my voice, right? Because I realized that the economy you know, a lot of people were going to lose jobs. You know, businesses were going to close. And so I needed to financially empower people, because I think that what other financial educators do, they give you the information, but are they giving you the information in a way that's going to make you excited, that's going to motivate you, that's going to make you believe that you could do it also, and give you the tools that you could get to the next level? So every Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I go live. I simulcast, so it's available on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, Twitch, IG Live. If you go to ashcashtv.com, you'll be able to tap into the show. The show is broken down into 3 segments. We got the financial inspiration part of the show. We tackle financial news, which is hip hop and finance news, and then I answer questions. So I have an Ask Cash segment of the show, and it's been dope, man. It's been great. It's allowed me to you know, really connect with the people. You know, allow people to ask their questions, help them grow, inspire them, motivate them, let them understand that even though there's a pandemic happening, you know, 2020 could still be the best year financially that you've ever had in your life. Because I call it the Great Financial Reset, and I'm just trying to, you know, spread that word, because I need more people to understand that this is not the time for us to shrink. This is a time to amplify your voice and go get that bag. That there's a wealth transfer happening, and you gotta be part of it.
Yeah, that's one thing that I'm hoping a lot of people are seeing about, you know, everything that's happening in this year. Like, you know, as crazy as it is, like, this is a reset and a big ass opportunity too.
Absolutely, you know, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
So, you know, outside of, you know, let me hold something and how can I get rich, what are some of the most frequent questions, you know, people are asking on the Ask Cash show?
Yeah. I think the number one question is usually around credit. You know, what's the best way to build credit? And then also really what's the, you know, side hustle, you know, because you know, one of the things that I've been able to do is really increase my income exponentially by selling digital products. And so I started a private mastermind group called Mailbox Money Academy. And we teach people how to, you know, make digital money. So those are the 2 things really, you know, best way to fix your credit. And then also, you know, what, you know, how do you create a side hustle? Also how to write a book, you know, because I make a lot of money writing books, and I write my books really, really fast. I actually did a IG Live one day, and I literally wrote a book in 22 minutes, an ebook. I wrote an ebook in 22 minutes live, and then was able to sell it, made $2,000 off the book in 2 days. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, I do stuff like that because, you know, I don't want to be one of the guys that's telling you these things and not showing you like, yo, this is real. And so, you know, so how to write a book, how to start a side hustle, and how to build your credit.
For sure. So, you was once an assistant VP and branch manager for Carville Federal, which is a Black-owned bank. Can you tell us a little bit about that and talk about and share your perspective on the importance or just that whole idea of, you know, banking Black?
Yeah, so I think that banking Black is so important because you know, Black banks are supposed to, and I'm gonna preference this to say that not all Black banks are built the same. You know what I'm saying? You know, Black banks are supposed to support the community, and so I think it's really important that you bank in an institution that supports your community, right? And so just because a bank is Black doesn't mean you should give them your money. You should really do research, right? You should find out, you know, how many loans did the bank give to small businesses in your neighborhood, in your community, you know, what programs they have, you know, what are their numbers as it relates to home ownership and loans and things of that nature. So I'm a bigger fan of credit unions than I am for any bank, whether it's Black or commercial, that works for their shareholders, to be honest, right? And so the problem that I had when I worked at Carver Bank was that we weren't Black owned because, you know, we were Black operated, which means that the CEO was Black, the board of directors were Black, the people who ran the company were Black, but it was a publicly traded company. And so anybody could be a shareholder in the bank. And when that happens, if anybody understands how publicly traded companies work, you don't work for the community, you work for the shareholders. And so a lot of the decisions had to be made based on the shareholders. I was a CEO of a credit union, and that's different. A credit union is actually owned by the depositors. So I'm a bigger fan of a credit union, where the credit union works for the community. The credit union is owned by the community, and then you can get more loans, lower rates, things of that nature. But I think it's important that whoever has your money, do research. Do research on what they're doing. Right? You think about Wells Fargo, for instance, that's been in the news, saying that they couldn't find black talent. Then before they were, taking money from folks, open up fake accounts, and they actually funded slave ships back in the day. Right. You know what I'm saying? So people, So you got to know who you're doing business with. So I would just say that it is important to bank black, but it's also important to make sure that whoever you're banking with, they're supporting your community.
So, so we've spent the lion's share of this conversation talking about financial health. I also want to talk about, your personal health journey going on right now too. You're over there looking like an after picture.
Big facts. Yeah. So I released, COVID-19 did a bunch of things, you know what I'm saying? So I released about 65 pounds so far. So I'm tall, so I'm 6'3". And so the heaviest I was like 345, you know what I'm saying? Like grinding, making unhealthy choices. And then as soon as when COVID-19 hit, late 2019, I was like, wait, hold on. It attacks your immune system if you're obese, you know what I'm saying? So I just, I started eating clean, training dirty. And I realized for so many reasons why health is wealth. You know what I'm saying? Because, I can make all this money, but if I'm sick and I can't really enjoy it, then what's the point? You know what I'm saying? And so I've really been on a health kick. I don't say health kick. I just changed my lifestyle. I just started eating different. Again, I'm eating clean. I'm not 100% vegan. I dabble with some fish every now and then, with some, some turkey and chicken now and then. But I would say about 90% of my eating habit is vegan and vegetarian. And I, work out. I'm biking a lot. I'm running. I used to play ball, so I play ball every now and then. But because of COVID, I haven't been able to be on the court. But so far, and the reason why I say I release, right? Words have power. The reason why I say I release 65 pounds is because I ain't losing nothing, right? If you lose something, you want it back. I don't want this back. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm like, yo, I'm losing weight, fam. Nah, I ain't losing nothing. I released it. I said, you know what I'm saying? You was on me. I ain't want you. I released it. You can have wherever you came from, go where you going. I don't want it back. So yeah, I released 65 pounds, bro.
For sure, yeah. Man. So before we let you go, man, we can't end this without me asking you this, man. So top 5 Hove albums, man. Go.
Man. Ooh. Top 5 Hove albums. Definitely number 1, Blueprint. I'm going to say number 2 is Reasonable Doubt. Number 3 is going to be Blueprint 2. Number 4 for me is going to be, number 4, I'm going to say 444. And then number 5, I'm going to say, what's going to be my number 5? I'm going to say Watch the Throne, actually, even though it's with Ye, right. But I'm going to say Watch the Throne.
That's pretty solid because, you don't hear a lot of Blueprint 2 mentions out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, said, do you fools listen to music or do you just skim through it? You know what I'm saying? Like Blueprint 2 is a classic to me. You know what I'm saying? So, it's a powerful album. It's definitely powerful.
For sure, man. We appreciate your time, man. One more time, tell everybody, where they can follow you on social media, and tell us where we can buy all of your wares.
Yeah, for sure. Go. You can go to IamAshCash.com. That's my website. You'll see everything I offer, from the Ash Cash show to books to my private mastermind group. Everything I offer is on IamAshCash.com. You can also follow me on all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, IamAshCash. I'm most active on Instagram, so hit me up on Instagram and check the Ash Cash show every Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on AshCashTV.com.
For sure, for sure. Are the hats on IamAshCash.com?
Nah, I actually don't sell the hats. I'm gonna start selling the hats, bro, because that's my logo. You know what I'm saying? It's the A and the C with the infinity sign. I haven't started selling them, but I do get a lot of compliments. So effective immediately. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna start putting the hats up on there for sure.
For sure, man. Hey, man, once again, we appreciate y'all listening. This is Day One Radio right here on Live Hip Hop Daily. Remember to download this and share it with all your friends on any major streaming platform. We'll holler at y'all next time.